Hi everyone, my name is John Alexis Guerra Gomez and I'm super excited to be your instructor for this web development course. So let me jump in here. As you can see, here is the website for the class, and you can just find all of that if you just go, like the easiest way of finding it is just going to johnguerra.co/classes, and then you can see all the classes I have taught. Like here is the one for my online version and the non-online version. And you can find the whole description. This is going to be a very interesting one, and you can jump into the different slides in here. I just noticed there seems to be like a problem with the latest version of the software that I'm using for this. So I'm going to show you the local version for the moment. Let me hide this for a moment so we can use more space. And yes, so for the introduction, as I was telling you, I'm super excited for this class. This is one of my favorite classes, and I'm going to show you why. So the whole objective of this class is that you can go and create a full stack modern application with Silicon Valley's standards. So you can actually try to get jobs here in the Valley using the latest technologies and the most standard different ways of creating applications for this. So this is great for creating applications and projects that could be in your portfolio. So the other thing that is very important in this class is that I'm going to try to teach you a little bit of the different architectures that could be used for creating this type of applications, which can change and have been changing a lot over the years. And it's a critical skill for you to get jobs in this. And at the end of this class, you're going to notice that you either love me or hate me, because I can be quite intense on my teaching. So it is going to be an interesting ride. What I can guarantee, though, is that it's going to be a lot of work. So if you really want to learn about all of these things, I'm here to meet you wherever you are. It doesn't matter. Thank you for everyone that has started answering the introductions. And it doesn't really matter if you don't have any experience on coding. I'm going to meet you wherever you are. So my expectation is just that you go from wherever you are to a little bit better. And if you do that, then you're going to be successful here. In terms of the technologies that we are going to be using, here are some of the main descriptions of the things that we want to use. Overall, we are going to be working with modern standards in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This class is going to be fully on JavaScript for full stack applications, from the front end to the back end and even to the database. We are going to be using Node.js for the back end and Mongo for the database, unless we decide to do something else. In the past, I tried switching these to Svelte, so that's why it's showing up in here. But last time I taught this class, students decided to use React because it is still more commonly widely used in the industry. So I think I'm going to do the same in this class. So it's up to you. You let me know if you want to learn Svelte. For me, Svelte, it's a better framework, but React, it's what most companies are asking for in the job applications. And the interesting thing about this is that we are not only going to be doing all the coding part, but we are also going to be including other elements like web design, usability, accessibility, security, and all of that in a project-based class. So this is going to be, for this to be successful, you're going to have to go and complete a lot of asynchronous materials before these pre-recorded things, and be aware, like these are the slides that are usually used in my in-person class. So there might be some things in there that might be different for this online version, but we still have all of these asynchronous materials, and I need you to complete them. Once you have finished doing that, and I probably will have things of my previous iteration that mentions a lottery and some tweets, but I'm changing that for you all so we can have more participations. But the key in here is that you have to complete these readings. These are mandatory, and the way that I'm going to be evaluating that, as this one says in here, in the past I was asking people to tweet, and then I switched to Blue Sky, but because like LLMs now, like students were using that too much. So right now I'm going to ask you to go and create a question on Canvas, and then you have to also answer 2 of those questions from your peers. So that's what I put in there in Canvas for the introduction. So I probably will do like another video just to explain a little bit more of that. And then we are going to have what we call the synchronous materials, that for this online class are going to be these pre-recorded sessions. And then on top of that, we are also going to have office hours, and I'm thinking, like I also submitted and when to meet link that I need you to know to tell me what times work better for you. I'm thinking on maybe recording these ones on Thursday. Today is Thursday for the Friday session. Like thinking that we have Tuesdays and Fridays because that's when I have money in person. So pre-recording on Monday and Thursday. So if some of you want to join me in here, so I'm not all alone and telling my jokes and laughing at my own jokes, then I would love you in here so we can like maybe have discussions and things like that. I can also share the recordings for my other class. Okay, so in there we can do discussions, see other advanced topics and elements like that. And then in those ones, I'm also going to be using one of my favorite tools, which is called the lottery. And this lottery, it's a little system that I have for asking students questions and seeing if they have prepared the material, which I usually use for participation, but I'm open to try to see what we can do in this online version to try to measure that. Okay, so let's skip this because this was for the blue sky. So actually, let me see. I think I cannot. I'm going to do another video just for the questions so we can make sure to clarify that, but feel free to go into Slack and then ask me questions if you're still confused on that. So I do want to make this very participatory. It is critical for this to work. I have worked before in online classes, especially I redesigned the whole data visualization class for the Masters in Data Science at Berkeley, and they're still using my materials in there. So I do have quite some experience on that, and then teaching on the pandemic and all of that. So I know what it takes to make this work. But it is critical that you engage. So if you can come up with new ideas, I already started reading the suggestions that you proposed on Canvas, and I see some very interesting ones in there. So I'm loving that. So we'll see, go and take it from there. It is very important and then that you participate using Canvas, using Slack, and then propose new ideas because this is going to be graded at the end, okay? So for Slack, we are going to have multiple channels. Let me see if I can open Slack in here and then maybe show you quickly, and you're going to see I have way too many Slacks in here. So this is you all, and as you can see, most of you have started joining. There in Slack, we're going to have like the general channel where we can go and ask questions and things like that. I already started answering some questions that I received in there. And then we have this welcoming message where I'm expecting you all to go and share a little bit about your background, like first to join all of these channels. So make sure to go and click on each one of these things. You should go and say, click here in announcements, and that should make you join. And then you can see 13 people have already joined. So I'm loving that. And then random 12 people, perfect. So I'm missing one in there, I guess. And then project, which we are going to be using, and 13 for project. So that works. So we have for that. I hope you all know how to use Slack. Please do ask me questions if you do not. I prefer Slack over other mediums of communication, over email, or even sending me messages from Canvas, because I can try to react faster, and then we also can have the TAs in here. You're going to identify the TAs because we are all going to have like in our name what are the like our role, and also because of that it is very important that you use your legal name. If you want to use a nickname, you can do that, but still put the legal name so the TAs can match you with the name that we have in Banner, which is what we use. If you have a problem with that, do let me know so we can see that. You can also send private messages in here, so feel free to do that to hang out with your peers or create like working groups for your projects and things like that. We can decide if you guys want to work alone or you want to work in groups. Probably because of the size of the class, I'm going to ask you to work in groups. We can decide more on that, so this could be a little bit democratic in that sense. And then the whole idea is that you use the general channel for general questions. Usually I prefer you asking me questions directly here in general so everyone can see the answer. So that's why I was answering this one in here. You can use this one for proposing your projects. I'm going to speak more of that in a minute. And then like random stuff, like every time you find an AI news or something that you want to share, you can put it in here as well. And then announcements, do not post anything in here. So this is going to be only for the TAs and for myself for sending you new announcements, although I might be using also Canvas a little bit for that. So we can negotiate about that. Okay, do let me know if you have any questions on that, and I want to feel like an influencer, so feel free to follow and click and like for more content like this. I'm kidding, but anyhow. So for my in-person sessions, I'm going to have this lottery. Basically, I run that like at the beginning of the class, but lately I have been using it like a little bit after. And then it looks something, let's see if I can find it in here quickly. There we go. This is an early version. So it's basically something like that. And then I can go and just call people randomly and then just ask them like, what is the latest thing I have been saying or something like that. And then I can assign you points directly in that. The whole idea of how the lottery works is that if I call you on that, and that will be only in the synchronous ones, which by the way are optional. So if you don't attend the synchronous ones because, I don't know, you have a conflict or something like that, we can work out a way of compensating for this. But usually it's like, if you give me a great answer, that's going to be a 2. If you give me a kind of a good answer, I can give you 1 point. Or if you don't give me a regular answer or like a bad answer, I give you a 0. Or sorry, if you answer wrong, it could be -1 or -2 if you're not even in there. Okay. So at the end of the semester, what I do is that I compute what is the median sum of all the points each student has had all the up to that point, and then you have to be in that median. Okay, so that way, like on that median or above, so that way the whole class can get like 100% on that. It's easier to see that while we're working. And since this is going to be an online version, then I am also going to be using the discussions that I've been saying. For the questions, I'm going to record another video for that, so you can be super clear on that. And then participation in Canvas, we can find ways of making it work online. Okay. The key is that I want you all to participate. I want you all to make this very engaging. The only way that you can learn these materials very, very accurately or very well, it's by working on it. So it is critical that you actually do that. Let me make sure that I'm actually still recording. Good, perfect. So yes, the median. So in terms of the requirements for the class, as I already hinted at the beginning, I do need you to know how to code, to have some experience. So it doesn't really matter if you started coding like 6 months ago or something like that, if you're an aligned student and you're just getting started, that is perfectly fine. I'm here for you. But you do need how to code. And then in this class, you're going to improve a lot of that. Now, if you have a lot of experience, that's fine as well. I just need you to meet you wherever you are, and then get you higher than that. Okay, and that's what I want you to demonstrate to me. So do not compare yourself against others. Just show me that you're making progress. Okay, that is the critical. And this is going to be very special, very important, especially for that combination that we have of aligners with regular CS students and maybe people from other majors, because you can achieve like different goals at the end. So it doesn't really matter if you're not producing exactly the same level of applications than someone that has more experience. What I want to see is that you're making that progress, and then you demonstrate that for me. Okay. You're also going to need GitHub and Blue Sky accounts. So we are not going to be doing the tweets before the class because it's the online and it wasn't working because LLMs just ruined that for me. But we are still going to be using Blue Sky for advertising the project that you create. So you still need those. And then you have to bring a lot of enthusiasm, and that's where I make my stupid jokes and nobody, in any case, nobody really laughs. So then, but I still like doing it. Anyhow, so this is the grading. We are going to have 3-4 projects, actually, I think, which is 60% of the class. The participation is going to be 20%, and we are going to have a midterm evaluation, which is very interesting technique that I like doing for taking a look at how much you have learned of all the initial elements from that. But don't worry about that. Don't panic. It is going to be fine. And if you can come up with other ways of evaluating that, do let me know and we can discuss for that. So I'm very open on that. Which, by the way, I already mentioned that in the syllabus. I hope you have seen that. But I do like having a lot of flexibility in sense of making the class better. So I adapt to whatever are the needs. So for instance, one of the things I have for this class is that I just spent like the whole summer vibe coding. I don't know if you all know about all of that, but it's the whole idea of trying to use AI prompting to just code directly. And it was quite of a bittersweet experience. So I'm here if you want to learn a little bit more about that and to try to see what parts of the class you can apply for that. My conclusion about like at the end of those 3 months working on that, is that you still need to learn how to code. Okay, even if you can still create, if you can create a lot of applications and a lot of the things we're going to be doing in the class, you can create most of the things, like especially a running prototype that seems to work with just prompting. In order for you to actually make it work, you need to know what it is generating, and you still need to, it's kind of like having to deal with a very lazy teenager. The chatbot becomes something like that, even using like the most advanced one up to the last time I was doing that, which is, as I say, like a couple of weeks ago with Cloud Code, paying $200 a month. It is still very lazy, and it tries to cut corners, and it's very stubborn. So I might be able to, I might do another video just for that, and then if you guys want to learn more about that, we can discuss it in the synchronous, or I might include some elements in there. But I'm going to be trying to train you in all of that, so you can be on par to whatever it's doing right now here on Silicon Valley. So for the projects, back to the project, we're going to be doing one short project, which is going to be individually, and then 2 short projects. I think I'm going to put this one to be in groups, unless you, like, I can hear like some compelling ideas, but since the class is so large, I might need to get you to work in pairs or groups of 3. And then one final project, which is going to be an iteration and all of that. So I'm going to evolve more on that. All about the projects, all the code goes on GitHub. You need to use MIT licenses, okay? And you're going to be doing code reviews. So because of that, all the code is supposed to be frozen and delivered 24 hours before the deadline. So make sure to have that ready, so people can go and start these code reviews. And again, since this is an online version, we can negotiate a little bit of that. And then you're going to do a presentation, which is in this case is going to be pre-recorded. I already say the 24 hours before, and then you have to go and do the code review for your teammates. I'm going to give you another video just for that, okay? One of the interesting things about the projects is that they are going to be projects of whatever you want, in the sense of the actual topic of what you're going to be building, with the exception of the first project. The first project is going to be your homepage, and then it's going to be a very basic one. It's coming up very soon. I think I have it on week 3 or 4. I have to recheck on the syllabus. We can talk more about that. But it's very easy, very simple. It's just going to be like a basic homepage, a couple pages in there. I'm going to give more details on that, probably record another video just for that, okay? And then after that, you get to choose the topic, okay? I strongly recommend you choosing interesting topics. And when I say that, is do not do what students were doing in my previous semester, which is go and ask Claude, hey, what is the easiest thing I can do for the class? Or even asking Claude in general what to do for this is a terrible idea, because the way LLMs are programmed, they're going to give you the most common answer that could be found online, which means that you're just going to be one more in the whole pool of people looking for jobs, when what you actually need is something that differentiates you. So instead, what you should be doing is look for an interesting problem, something that you care a lot about, and then try to create like a clever solution for that. It doesn't have to be super advanced. You define the scope, you have to propose that on Slack. I'm going to create another video just for that as well, so you all understand what's happening in there. But I want real world problems, okay? So I can give you the food, but I cannot make you hungry. So please, but trust me on this. If you still want to do, you need to get my approval of the project. So if you propose something very basic, not so much basic, but more like common that everyone else has doing, like the typical ones that are big no's, or like a to-do list or things like that. So be aware of that. The other one that is very important, there are certain libraries that you cannot use. The most famous ones of that is going to be Mongoose, and you cannot use it in the class. And the reason why you cannot use it is because it actually makes a document database look like a relational database, which doesn't really make sense. And despite that, a lot of people use it in tutorials. So be careful. Like, you can choose. There are going to be some guidelines on what you need to use in terms of technologies for each project, but always get them approved if you're dubious about what will be happening in that, okay? In terms of ethics and conduct, so since we are online, we're asynchronous like normal ones, zero tolerance to fraud. So that includes like misusing LLMs and things like that. So do not make me pursue you. So I will trust you, and I'm going to give you a lot of freedom and flexibility. So I expect your trust back. Okay. So be completely respectful. Do not harass anyone in the class. No mockery, no bullying, no discrimination, etc., etc. But I'm going to tell you what is my policy about AI in a minute. So it is actually easier to not cheating than cheating. So let's talk more about that in a minute. So in terms of support, as I said, you're going to have these pre-recorded videos. If you're open to it, I can welcome students to the pre-recorded sessions, so we can do it together, or I can just pre-record it and then have the office hours, and then you come for that. Usually those office hours are by appointment, but for this online one, I think I might have like depending on if you decide to come and participate in my pre-recording sessions or not, we might have like another slot. I just want something that works for you all. And remember that we might be in different time zones. I'm here in San Francisco. Forgot to mention that many of you probably are in Boston, like in Silicon Valley, or maybe in the other parts of the network. So we can try to negotiate about that. I'm not sure if we have anyone from overseas. I should ask about that. And we definitely are going to have more than one TA, so that's another error that I have to change on that. Okay, so hopefully, like usually, this is where I get a lot of questions. So please do ask me questions on Slack, and I will be more than happy to answer any of those. And then let me quickly, actually, you know what? Like I'm going to pause this video in here and then create another one just in case it didn't work out. So we'll see you in a minute and tell you about who I am.